From building a great barrier to hiring a hitman.
Here are 10 horrible ways people have dealt with their neighbors.
Neighbor hacks Wi-Fi, gets 18 years in jail. In 2009, a married couple moved to Minnesota next door to a man named Barry Ardolph. Shortly after moving in, the couple's 4-year-old son wandered into Ardolph's yard, and when the neighbor returned the child to his parents, for some reason he kissed the boy on the lips. The couple were alarmed and informed the police. Ardolph was furious about the incident and spent the next several months hacking into his neighbor's Wi-Fi several times. Ardolph posted even child pornography to a fake account on the social media, posing as his neighbor. He also sent sexually harassing emails to people in his neighbor's office and even sent threatening mails to some politicians. The Secret Service eventually obtained a search warrant and found evidence in Ardolph's home that proved that he had been cyber-stalking his neighbors, hurting their careers and personal lives. For this, Ardolph was sentenced to 18 years in prison.
Neighbor wanting a handicapped child to be euthanized. A woman named Carla Begley was the mother of an autistic boy whom one particular neighbor complained about. The upset neighbor sent a letter stating that the mother should do the right thing and move or euthanize him. In the letter, the neighbor also stated that the boy made dreadful noises when he played outside and that he was, quote, a nuisance to everyone and will always be that way. The neighbor claimed to be expressing the feelings of everyone in the neighborhood, but when the other neighbors heard about the letter, they, on the contrary, supported Carla and her son.
The man who burned down his neighbor's house. Philip Roger Bennett was the name of the neighbor who did this. Bennett just couldn't stand under neighbors who let their grass grow too long. So after getting into an argument with his neighbor about his unmowed lawn, Bennett first slapped him in the face. Soon after this, Bennett kicked down his neighbor's door and told him that he had 5 seconds to go outside, and then proceeded to pour gas all over the home and lighting it. Luckily, the neighbor and his daughter made it out safely, but everything in their house was destroyed. All this, crazily enough, only because he didn't immediately start mowing his lawn.
Neighbors filing complaint instead of coming to the rescue. An elderly woman was trapped in her bathroom for some reason and needed help. She started tapping on the pipes to try to get the attention of her neighbors, but instead of investigating the noise or going over to check on her, her neighbors filed a petition to stop the noise. What an unfortunate misunderstanding.
Man hiring a hitman to murder his neighbors. A man named Jeffrey Wright Leonard from Oregon must have really hated his neighbors. Leonard was upset over a dispute stemming from a parking issue, and things really got out of hand. He tried everything to get his neighbors to move, including throwing dog feces and shining floodlights into the home of his neighbors. He then tried to run them off the road. When all else failed to accomplish what he wanted, he opted to kill his neighbors by hiring an assassin. Luckily, the hitman went to the police instead of going through with the murders. The police arrested Leonard and charged him with solicitations for murder and conspiracy to commit murder. Police stated, "We are convinced this man meant business, and if our source was not going to agree to kill for this guy, somebody else would have."
Neighbor who built his own 24-hour racetrack. A man named Michael Carroll had won $15 million in the lottery. He bought a huge estate and proceeded to turn the property into a 24-hour racetrack for old beat-up cars. Apart from the dust and noise coming from the racetrack, neighbors also had to endure fireworks and distress flares being lit in the middle of the night. The fire brigade had to be called in one time to put out the fire that started when a car and a minibus collided, which sent thick clouds of smoke over the whole neighborhood. His neighbors shut their windows and doors in attempts to shut out the dust and noise, and at least one family moved to get away from the ruckus. Police were frequently called on Carroll, but there was little they could do to stop him, since he simply wasn't breaking any laws by turning his property into a racetrack.
The man who built the Great Wall of Fleetwood. A couple wanted to enjoy watching the seaside from their home, so they built a terrace on the roof. They followed all the city's planning laws in doing this. Unfortunately for the couple, their neighbor Charles Hart disliked the fact that their terrace overlooked his garden, so he built a 16-foot fence between the properties, which quickly became known as the Great Wall of Fleetwood. This attracted the attention of the Wire Borough Council. The council threatened to take the man to court since he had been extending the wall to almost 28 feet. He was forced to take part of the wall down, but he still succeeded in blocking most of the neighbors' seaside view.
Woman driving 3 different neighbors to depression. A woman named Jean Wilding was willing to do whatever it took to win a fight with her neighbors. Her neighbors had to withstand the dumping of oil, dead animals and broken glass on their driveway. Wilding also cranked up music in the middle of the night with lyrics about rape and murder, as well as turning CCTV cameras and high-powered floodlights directly toward her neighbors' houses. Some of her neighbors actually had to seek treatment for depression. After over 250 complaints and 30 arrests, a court banned Wilding from doing some of the things she had been doing to her neighbors. She was also ordered to pay $115,000 in court fees.
Literally the world's crappiest neighbor. A woman named Paula Bolly dumped 40 cubic yards of fresh horse poop in her own yard, solely to get even with her neighbors. The 2 neighbors have had problems with Bolly for almost 25 years, but even they were surprised when she unloaded 2 dump trucks of horse manure next to their house, which also attracted flies and rats into the property. "It's sickening," stated another neighbor. "All our windows have been closed and the AC stays on. The air smells like rotten fish."
Man legally banned from his own home. David Constantine threatened his neighbors to cut down their hedges and build a barbed wire fence between their homes. He also banged on his neighbors' walls all night and falsely accused them of attacking him. Constantine's harassment got so bad that it eventually resulted in him being arrested for the attempted murder of 2 people. A judge also ruled that if he communicated with his neighbors or bothered them in any way, he would be sent to prison.
And that's it for this countdown.
Constantine's harassment got so bad that it